All right, so we're just finishing up our Continental Divide Trail overlanding trip. Been on the road for just short of 2 weeks now. And let's do a quick walk around of the vehicle and then get into some of the technology. All right, so on top you can see multiple antennas here. This taller black antenna is a GMRS antenna. So we run a Midland, that's a 6 dBi gain UHF antenna for GMRS. Mag mount, so it will easily break away when we go under tree branches. You can see I've got the smaller version of that GMRS antenna, the one that came factory with the Midland MXT275 that I'll run when I don't have the big antenna on. Then you can see this antenna here to the left. That is the antenna for the Wilson WeBoost cellular repeater. And then this long tram antenna here. This is a 5/8 wave antenna for 2 meters, tuned for APRS. All right, mounted off the hood here, I have an old Maldal UHF mount, SO239 mount for my comms, my voice comms radio. So this is an SO239. I can hook this up, currently have this nice flexible antenna on it so it doesn't get caught in the trees. This is used with my Yaesu FTM-400XDR for primary voice comms radio. All right, so let's take a look inside where I've got some of this comms equipment stored. So right here behind the driver's side rear seat, you can see I've got a bunch of different equipment. I'm running a distribution block, fuse distribution block in here straight from the battery that allows me to run different equipment. In here you can see I have the my APRS radio. So this is a dedicated radio for APRS. This is a old Kenwood TM-V7 that has a faulty display. Running into the data port of that is my Mobilinkd TNC3 that allows me to get Bluetooth access into my tablet. You can see I have my MXT275 dedicated GMRS radio that I used a Ethernet cable in order to extend the microphone into the front. And then I've got the WeBoost cell phone repeater in here, or cell phone booster. See, I got the 4 green lights here. This is all running off this distribution block of Anderson power poles that I can individually fuse and turn on and off as needed. I also run a couple extra USB cables up to run additional equipment. And then I do have a GoPro mount mounted to the back window here. And all of my antenna cables run through the sliding rear window. All right, so into the driver's seat here. You can see on the left-hand side, I have my Yaesu FTM-400XDR. I'll go ahead and power that on. So let me go ahead and switch over to C4 FM Simplex. So when I'm overlanding, I'll typically run in this display mode where it will give me a graph of our altitude over time, which is quite handy to have. And this is a mag mount. So I have on the back of this one of these adhesive magnetic mounts, and I have these Scosche magic mounts all over the place in the cab here. So I've got an old phone cord, phone handset cord that I'm using to connect this, and I can move this in various places on the vehicle. You can see I've got a couple more mounts here. On the dash, I usually put my mobile phone here. Usually my Google Pixel 3 will be mounted right here. Here's the indoor antenna, or the inside antenna for the cell phone repeater. I've got my InReach mounted here, also on a RAM mount, and then my tablet running all the various software that I need for APRS. So the tablet is where we do most of our navigation. When I'm on highway navigation, I'll use Google Maps on my Android phone. And then, of course, it's picking up the boosted signal from the WeBoost right here off of this antenna. I'll use my InReach for emergency communications, for satellite tracking, etc. And then you can see here I have APRSdroid running on the tablet. Now the tablet, I have multiple applications running, and I use Android for a very good reason, which is that there's extremely limited support from Apple for how you interface with serial devices over Bluetooth, which really limits a bunch of different things for ham radio. But the most important one for me is how I'm able to access the TNC, the Mobilinkd TNC3, and how I'm able to get GPS data. So right now, this is APRSdroid. If I go ahead and go to my home screen, we do all of our planning for our trips on GaiaGPS. Great tool to do online planning. You can see where we're at. I've got currently the map overlay on here with the motor vehicle use maps from the National Forest Service. And you can see we're here in the Cibola National Forest in New Mexico on our way home from the Continental Divide trip. You can see the tracked route that we have. But what's really cool is that within APRSdroid, there is a preference setting in here. Excuse me. Actually, it's built into Backcountry Navigator. So if I go into Backcountry Navigator, there's a setting in Backcountry Navigator called APRSdroid Beta, and it allows me to ingest all of the waypoints, all of the APRS objects that are received on APRSdroid and place them on the topographical map. So you can see here I am, KC7IPY-9, where other objects are on the map, which is great for situational awareness. Of course, I can also do messaging through APRSdroid, and it frees up both VFOs on my FTM-400 for voice comms. So you can see here I'm running the C4FM simplex frequency on VHF, and I'm running the 2-meter national calling frequency as well on here, while still running APRS through a separate dedicated radio. Now, also on this Android tablet, I have Avenza maps. Avenza is great for having the PDFs from the National Forest Service. You can see here, I've got the motor vehicle use map, the official one from the National Forest Service on here. And you can see the blue dot where we are on that map. And this is a great tool to make sure that you are legal with where you're camping. I also, on this tablet, have OnX Offroad, and OnX will help us know when we're looking for dispersed camping options, who the landowner is, whether we're a national forest, whether we're an Indian land, BLM, or a private state ownership, etc. So all these are just running through the tablet. The tablet's got 128 gig of built-in storage, and then it's got 128 gig SD card that I store all of the maps on. So the microphone for my FTM-400XDR I keep down here by the e-brake, and then if you can see it, I have mounted my Midland MTX or MXT 275 that I use for voice comms with the family. So my wife and daughter are not ham radio licensed operators, but we do have a family GMRS license, so we can talk to each other. I keep a couple of GMRS handhelds in the back, and we can chat here. It's also good for other people who we might overland with on the trail that do not have their FCC license for amateur radio, and so we can communicate on FRS frequencies or GMRS frequencies as appropriate, depending on whether they're licensed or they're leveraging the Part 95 license built into like the FRS radios. So a couple other non-stock things that I have in the vehicle. I went ahead and added a dedicated button here for the backup camera. So if I press this button, and if I have to have the vehicle in the right mode, my backup camera turns on. There we can see that I actually have the tailgate down, and we're seeing that tarp in some of my storage boxes. But I have a switch over here on the left-hand side, and that switch is for a front mount camera, if I can find it in the frame here, for a front camera. So when I flip this switch, let me go over here, I flip the switch, it flips over to the front camera, which helps when I can't see over the hood, as we have a high approach angle obstacle to get over, and I need to make sure that we are going to be able to place our tires on some solid ground. And so I can flip back and forth between the rear camera and the front camera with that toggle switch on the left side. And then I can turn the camera off and on at will by simply pressing this button here. So two more things that I have in the vehicle that are not stock. I have a trailer brake controller for when we're towing our trailer. And then I have a PLX Devices OBD-II Bluetooth interface. And that sits right here, and it has a physical switch I can turn it on and off with. And that allows me to use an application on Android called Torque to do engine diagnostics and to pull real-time data from the vehicle systems. Fuel economy. I can check anything that's available through the OBD-II interface.